Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottama devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet nashtaprayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is entitled The Meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva. Before this meeting, the description is given of how the Brajavasis celebrated Krishna's birth as son of Yashoda and Nanda. That's the section we're going to discuss today, verses 9 and 10. First I'll read 9, we'll repeat, and then I'll read by myself the 10th verse. So the verse number 9, kindly repeat. Gopyaha cha akarnya muditaha gopyaschakarnya mudita Yashodayaha Sutta Udbhavam Yashodaya Sutodbhavam Atmanam Bhushayam Chakruhu Atmanam Bhushayam Chakrur Vastra Akalpa Anjana Adibhi Vastra Kalpanjanadibhi Gopyaschakarnya mudita Yashodaya Sutodbhavam Atmanam Bhushayam Chakrur Vastra Kalpanjanadibhi. Gopyaschakarnya mudita Yashodaya Sutodbhavam Atmanam Bhushayam Chakrur Vastra Kalpanjanadibhi Gopyaschakarnya mudita Yashodaya Sutodbhavam Atmanam Bhushayam Chakrur Vastra Kalpanjanadibhi Gopyaschakarnya mudita Yashodaya Sutodbhavam Atmanam Bhushayam Chakrur Vastra Kalpanjanadibhi. Gopyaha, the feminine community, the wives of the cowherd men. Cha, also, Akarnya, after hearing, Muditaha, became very glad. Yashodayaha, of Mother Yashoda. Suta Udbhavam, the birth of a male child. Atmanam, personally. Bhushayam Chakruho, dressed very nicely to attend the festival. Vastra Akalpa Anjana Adibhi, with proper dress, ornaments, black ointment, and so on. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Gopi wives of the cowherd men were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son, and they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. Please repeat this translation after me. The Gopi wives of the cowherd men were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son, and they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. I'll read text 10 by myself. Navakunkumakinjalka mukhapankaja bhutayaha balibhistvaritam jagmuhu prutushonyash chalat kuchaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Their lotus-like faces, extraordinarily beautiful, being decorated with saffron and newly grown kunkuma, the wives of the cowherd men hurried to the house of Mother Yashoda with presentations in their hands. Because of natural beauty, the wives had full hips and full breasts, which moved as they hurried along. Describing not only the cowherd men, the previous verse described, previous verses described that Nanda Maharaj, he gave 2 million cows. 2 million means 20 lakh cows, completely decorated with cloth and jewels in charity to the Brahmanas. The cows were decorated with golden necklaces. What to speak of the others. He also gave them 7 hills of grain covered with jewels and with cloth decorated with golden embroidery. Golden embroidery. Then it is described the Brahmanas were invited for the birth ceremony of Lord Krishna. They recited auspicious Vedic hymns. The experts in reciting old histories like the Puranas, they also gave the history of the family in which Krishna had appeared, Nanda Maharaj and the Vaishyas. The experts in reciting histories of royal families and general reciters all chanted, while singers sang and many kinds of musical instruments like bheris and dundubis played in accompaniment. It's a very grand celebration. Nanda Maharaj is the king of the cowherd men. So, king's house, actually it's not house, it's palace, king's palace. So there the celebration is just beginning, because the king has got a male child, a son. Vrajapura, the residence of Nanda Maharaj, was fully decorated with varieties of festoons, flags. Gates were made with varieties of flower garlands, pieces of cloth and mango leaves. The courtyards, the gates near the roads and everything within the rooms of the houses were perfectly swept and washed with water. Now hear this. The cows, the bulls and the calves were thoroughly smeared with a mixture of turmeric and oil, mixed with varieties of minerals. Their heads were bedecked with peacock feathers, And they were garlanded and covered with cloth and golden ornaments. Even the cows were decorated with golden ornaments. Then the description is given. The cowherd men, when they heard that Nanda Maharaj has got a newborn son, they dressed very opulently with valuable ornaments and garments such as coats and turbans. Decorated in this way and carrying various presentations in their hands, they approached the house of Nanda Maharaj. Now today's verse describes not only the men, but even the women, the wives of the cowherd men. They were very pleased to actually hear Gopyaha Akaranya Mudita. When they heard that Yashoda has given birth to a beautiful child, they were very, very pleased. After hearing that, became very happy. And Atmanam Bhushayam Chakruhu. They personally dressed very nicely to attend that festival. And that festival we also celebrate now. 5,000 years later, we're still celebrating. Janmashtami, the appearance of Lord Krishna as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Of course, confidential description in the scriptures say if he first appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, but because they were imprisoned, there was no celebration possible. Neither was there knowledge even that a child was born, because in the middle of the night everyone was fast asleep. Only Vasudeva and Devaki knew about the birth of Krishna as their son. Nobody else knew. Even in Nanda Gokula, everyone was fast asleep in the middle of the night. So Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj came to know about the birth of the child only the next morning. And accordingly, they celebrated the birth of Krishna. So the cowherd women also decorated themselves very nicely to attend the festival. And how did they decorate? They dressed themselves with beautiful garments, nice ornaments. If the cows can be decorated with nice jewelry, what to speak of the women? They even more nicely decorated themselves with nice ornaments, and specially mentioned here is Anjana Adibihi. Anjana means black ointment for the eyes. This is unknown in modern society. They do some painting of the eyes with some horrible chemicals. But this is not that chemical decoration. This is natural decoration. Even about 50 years back, my grandmother used to prepare this kajal, anjana, for the eyes at home, and nicely used to decorate the children, and the women used to decorate themselves with this ointment, black ointment for the eyes. It is both a decoration and also it cleanses the eyes of any dirt that may be there. And also it is soothing for the eyes. It's very soothing for the eyes. In Jagannath Puri, they offer natural camphor for the eyes of Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And after offering the remnants, the pujari will sometimes give to people who go just after the morning bathing and decoration is over. So once I had an opportunity to go inside and even participate in that bathing ceremony, Abhishek. And after the Abhishek, the pujari gave that camphor, which is applied to Jagannath's eyes. So he said, close your eyelids. And he applied on my eyelids that camphor, natural camphor. It is such a nice cooling effect. I felt very soothing. Those of you who have, anybody else has experienced this? Yes, he is one of the old devotees. So nowadays we don't get to go inside or participate in such Abhishek so easily. But formally it was not difficult. So all natural things, nothing chemical, nothing synthetic, nothing manufactured in factories. There were no factories. There was nothing manufactured with chemicals like that in those days. So the gopis, the elderly gopis, the cowherd women, elderly cowherd women, they began to decorate themselves to participate in this grand festival, Janmashtami. Then the description further continues that Nava Kunkuma Kinjalka, with saffron. Kinjalka is saffron, and Kunkuma is one type of flower. So, with saffron and newly grown Kunkuma flower, they decorated their faces. And they hurriedly went to the house of Mother Yashoda with presentations in their hands. Mukha Pankaja Bhutayaha, decorating their faces, their lotus-like beautiful faces. Balibhis Tvaritam Jagmuhu, Balibihi. Balibihi, Bali means presentations. Now, Srila Prabhupada in the purport says what these presentations were those days. The women were carrying, the word Balibihi indicates that women were carrying gold coins, jewel necklaces, real jewels, real precious stones, rubies and pearls and sapphires and diamonds and all that. All set in gold. Golden ornaments, jewel necklaces, nice cloths, silken cloth with golden embroidery. Real gold was used for embroidery. And newly grown grass, fresh grass that was grown. This grass is a special kind of offering made to the Lord or to a newborn child, which has got a special fragrance. This grass has got special fragrance. And this grass also has got a special flavor that Yashoda, later on will be described, used to feed cows, some particular cows, with flavored grass, so that the cow's milk will be specially flavored. And with that flavored milk, she used to prepare butter for feeding Krishna with specially favored butter. Why? Because she heard that some complaints were there. As Krishna was growing up, he had become naughty, and he was going and stealing butter in neighboring houses. So Yashoda began to think, why would he go and steal butter when there is plenty of butter in my house? Oh yeah, there is plenty of butter. Maybe their butter is more tasty. So she decided she is going to now take special steps to actually prepare flavored butter. So what did she do? She took flavored grass. And that flavored grass is being described here. Fed some special cows she had selected. And those cows' milk, she used to personally milk them and heat the milk nicely. And then prepared curds, set into natural curds. And that curd she would personally churn into butter. And that fresh butter she would personally feed Krishna. And Krishna would happily, obviously Krishna enjoys eating nice butter, so he would happily accept that with great joy, giving joy also to Mother Yashoda. So, that grass is being mentioned here as Bali Bihi. They took as presentation to the newly born child, newly grown grass. Sandalwood pulp, of course, sandalwood pulp is even now fortunately available. So this sandalwood pulp, full of fragrance and very cooling. Flower garlands, beautiful flower garlands. Even now in Vrindavan, the roses have got extraordinary fragrance. Rose is supposed to have fragrance, it's a fragrant flower, but the chemical, chemical fertilizer grown roses in Bangalore and Mysore nowadays, not much of fragrance. If something remains, it's because the chemicals are not completely destroyed the fragrance. So the roses we offer, which we purchase from the market, is not as fragrant as the naturally grown roses in Vrindavan, which are not yet spoiled. Even today you go to Vrindavan, they sell these roses or rose garlands full of fragrance. So you can imagine such fragrant flower garlands they were carrying with them for the newly born child. And similar offerings, on what were they carrying? On plates made of gold, golden plates. Even today, in traditional places like Mysore, you go to some traditional houses. I have been to some houses. So they offer me silver plate. Of course, we offer to the deities in silver plates. We can't afford gold plates. We are offering silver plates. But even in homes, formerly, people used to eat on silver plates. But the so-called advancement of modern civilization, they have all kinds of artificial stuff on which they eat food. Melmoware. They call it silverware, but it is some white metal which shines like, it cannot be shining like silver, it is artificial silver, white metal. So nowadays they eat on white metal plates. I don't know what that white metal is. Some inferior base metal it is, much, much cheaper than silver. So this is so-called advancement of modern civilization. And they're very proud of it, as Prabhupada says in the purport. They're very proud, we are advanced. But what is the result of the advancement? That we should see. That we can't afford any more natural gifts. No more we can afford. We can't afford natural vanilla. So they have artificial vanilla, which is a petroleum product. Most people do not know. We eat vanilla flavored, artificial vanilla flavored, so many sweets and so many cookies and all that, biscuits. But actually, it is, artificial vanilla is a petroleum product. So, it is very, very dangerous to eat that stuff. The naturopathy people say it's slow poison. It has a very bad effect on our health in the long run. But formerly this was unknown. Artificial things, at least for eating, were unknown. There was no need. They had plenty of natural produce from the earth. Mother Earth is very, very benevolent. She gives us everything we require for our maintenance. Everything comes from earth only. All the metals, all the grains, all the vegetables, all the fruits, all the flowers, clay, the stones we use, marble and granite, and everything comes from the earth. So that is the creation of the Lord. Nature means creation of Lord. And man-made, so-called man-made creation, it's not a creation, it is just exploiting the resource of nature for sense gratification. So even if we say so-called man-made creation, artificial creation, is fully hazardous, very, very dangerous. It is leading to so many complications and problems. So the contrast is made here that the gopis were carrying all natural things as gift to the child. And Tvaritam Jagmuhu, they were so happy to actually hear about the birth of the child, and they want to actually celebrate this birth ceremony, Janmashtami. So they're going to the house of Nanda and Yashoda. They're all carrying these presentations, beautifully dressed and decorated, they're going. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport, particularly he comments the difference between the natural life people used to live in simple villages in the former times versus the artificial living in the modern civilization, especially in cities, so-called advanced, developed cities. What's the difference? Artificial living, women have lost their natural beauty, because here there's a description of natural beauty of the women, the covered women, who were very beautifully decorated, dressed. They were going hurriedly. So Shukadeva Goswami is describing when they were going, they were having little difficulty in carrying their body, well-built body, because of natural beauty. This is natural beauty. Completely healthy, joyous, having plenty of everything that Krishna has given in the form of nature, natural produce. And they are celebrating the birth of a male child. Contrast this with the child taking birth nowadays in nursing homes. Cloud 9 nursing home. It's supposed to be the very advanced childbirthing facility. And there's the advertisement I saw recently. So what is the special thing there? That they have all modern facilities for cesarean operation. Children are hardly born naturally. The child has to be removed from the womb of the mother by surgical operation. Incidentally, I'd like to mention that you just wondered what would happen if in case a mother could not deliver the child after labor pain develops and the child is supposed to come out. Then what would they do in the former times? I was curious. We all know that there was nothing like a surgical operation done those days. So, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is one verse that describes how the power of the mantra when chanted by qualified brahmanas is such that it can push out a child from the mother's womb at the time of childbirth. So there was no need of surgical operation. If there was difficulty in delivering the child, then this mantra would be chanted. Just about 45 years back, when I was learning this Taittiriya Upanishad in a village near Hassan, Hassan town, Mysore people know Hasan, correct. So there I was learning from one priest, Channakeshava temple priest. He was well versed in this chanting of Taittiriya Upanishad. And when he was teaching me one particular verse in the Taittiriya Upanishad, he said, this verse has to be chanted softly, not loudly. All other verses we chant very loudly. But this verse alone we chant softly. So obviously I asked why this verse alone has to be chanted softly. Then he explained the meaning of this verse. Other verses, we don't learn the meaning in the beginning. We learn the meaning after we have learned the proper chanting and we learn the worship, etc. So this verse alone, he explained the meaning is that it is meant to push out a child when the mother is unable to deliver the child. The mantra has got that power. And he told me that formerly, before this nursing homes and all hospitals became very popular, normally women would deliver children at their own home, in the maternity room of the house. And then there would be a nurse who would help in the child delivery. So if the mother cannot deliver the child, they'll immediately come to the priest. And the priest, even if it's middle of the night, of course daytime he will be always in Shuchi, but if night, middle of the night, the mother is not able to deliver, then he will go, after just washing his face, washing his feet, immediately he has to rush. After performing achamana, purifying himself, he'll go and chant this mantra of the Taittiriya Upanishad, and the mother will deliver the child. So, of course, he was a special priest. He was very, very pure in his Brahmanical characteristics. He would never accept any money from anybody. He would go to the temple before time to open the deities, to give darshan to the people in the right time, the deities. I never seen temples so meticulously maintaining time except ISKCON temples, which Prabhupada has established the standard. And maybe in some ancient temples, even now when there are many pujaris, they maintain the timing. But in general, very few temples maintain timings. So this priest, he would go to the temple 15 minutes before the temple is supposed to be opened. And then, that is when he has to just open the temple. But if he has to perform some rituals, he'll go well before the rituals are to be started. And very nicely he will execute the rituals and then he'll open in time. Never he has ever delayed opening the altar, the darshan. So he was a very qualified priest. And he used to chant the mantras. The chanting of the mantras has to be done effectively. Then only the power of the mantras can be actually experienced. Just like there is one Arani mantra. This Arani mantra is used for lighting the firewood in the yajna. So Prabhupada mentions that modern day Brahmanas are not as qualified as the Brahmanas of the ancient times. Of course, even now there are very few, but most Brahmanas are not as qualified. What is the test that whether they are qualified to chant the mantras? This Arani mantra is one test. That simply by chanting this Arani mantra, they are able to light the firewood in the yajna, at the beginning of the yajna. They don't use matchsticks. So, this is the power of the mantra. Similarly, the mantra was there for delivering a child, in case the mother could not deliver naturally, normally. So, this is the natural way of living. And the artificial way of living, as Prabhupada says here, that although they have so many so-called advancement, material advancement they have done, they are unable to ensure good health, proper development of the child in the womb. So many children are born nowadays without proper development in the womb of the mother. They are born with so many defects. Formerly, we hardly used to hear a child born with defects right from birth, congenital defects by birth itself, in the mother's womb, not properly developed. And what to speak of developing the body nicely after the child is born, because it's fed with all kinds of infant formula from MNCs who want to fleece the people with all kinds of formula. They develop artificial formula, not natural cow's milk or natural grains. They don't use for making all this baby formula. And that rubbish is fed to the child. Naturally, the child doesn't develop very nicely. Children are not very healthy. How much ever the parents take care to feed the child nicely, but what they are feeding is not natural stuff. Mostly they have to feed some artificial stuff. So the same is true of all the decorations, the same is true of the garments, the same is true of the ornaments, everything artificial. So where is the possibility that one can live a healthy life? Where is the possibility of people experiencing natural happiness? That's completely lacking. Prayena alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge janaha. Kali Yuga, the people are short-lived. So Srila Prabhupada comments, what is the reason for this duration of life being shortened in Kali Yuga? The reason is artificial standards of living. Artificial standards of living. It saps the very vitality of human energy. Naturally, we have got a lot of energy in the body. That's the way this body is made. There is something called prana. Prana means the very life air. This body is exhibiting living symptoms only because of the prana circulation, pranavayu circulation. 10 types of pranavayu. So that prana is the source of our energy. But that prana normally is in good working condition if we eat the right food, if we drink nice water, if we breathe fresh air, unpolluted fresh air, if we live natural life, unlike the artificial standards of living in Kali Yuga, especially modern civilization. So, because of lacking this natural way of living, natural products from nature, the fruits and vegetables we get now full with so many chemicals. They're grown with so many chemicals, horrible chemicals. So they never had, they don't even know what chemicals are. Neither there was any need for chemicals. So they used to live happy life, lot of good produce, healthy living. Naturally they were healthy. So Srila Prabhupada points out here that especially the Western countries, womanly beauty is meant for sale. Because they advertise so many products with nonsensical advertisements just to lure the lusty public. Kali Yuga, one more thing is prominent, is lust, which is very prominent in the character of people. By birth itself in this material world, there is some amount of lust in the body and mind. But that is further aggravated by the modern way of sense gratification. Formerly also, sense satisfaction was there. It's part of civilized life. Dharma, artha, kama. Kama means sense satisfaction. Providing for the senses to be satisfied. Material senses. But it is done in a regulated way, so that it will not agitate the mind, it will not agitate the senses. That was the way sense satisfaction was obtained in the former times, in our Vedic culture, in our Vedic civilization. But now, everything is artificial. And as if lust which is there in the body is not enough, they incite this lust, agitate the mind to increase the lust, and then they spoil the life of common ordinary people. People become very much disturbed in the mind. That's why this verse says, Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrutaha. Upadrutaha means always disturbed in the mind. So one of the sources of this disturbance in the mind is this mind becoming agitated by nonsensical advertisements. What are these nonsensical advertisements, especially in the Western countries? And now it is coming to India also, that topless and bottomless women are actually advertised as having some so-called beauty. This is the description, or this is the utilization of feminine beauty. On the other hand, the Vedic civilization, as described even in this verse, is simply meant for pleasing Krishna. Simply meant for pleasing God. Pleasing God means yajna. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 3rd chapter, yajnarthat karmanaha. All work should be done as yajna. What does it mean? Yajna means to do something for pleasing Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna. So anything done for pleasing Krishna is called yajna. So these women are decorating themselves, and their bodily beauty is meant to please Krishna. That's the reason they are decorating. That's the reason they are carrying presentations. So everything in spiritual life is simply meant for pleasing Krishna. This is called Yukta Vairagya. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Muchyate. Real renunciation is described by Srila Rupa Goswami Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as Yukta Vairagya. Vairagya, renunciation, doesn't mean simply giving up everything in our possession. That is the understanding of another type of Vairagya called Falgu Vairagya. Now, Falgu Vairagya literally means useless renunciation, meaningless renunciation. What is this Falgu Vairagya? Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunaha mumukshubi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. The Mayavadis especially, and some materialists, they want to make a show of renunciation. So they give up whatever they may have, apparently for the sake of renouncing their personal enjoyment. They give up material possessions. But the devotees, they are not interested in possessing anything for their personal enjoyment, because they are naturally detached from personal enjoyment. On the other hand, they utilize everything in their possession simply for pleasing Krishna. So everything in their possession, they utilize it for worshipping Krishna, for offering to Krishna. So this is called Yukta Vairagya, where there is no, apparently the devotees don't give up, don't discard all their possessions. They in fact safeguard their possessions very nicely, so that they can utilize it for Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's enjoyment, for offering to Krishna. Then why do the gopis personally dress themselves with nice garments, beautiful ornaments? Again, that is not for their own pleasure. They are dressing themselves to please Krishna. Because when Krishna looks at beautifully dressed women, he becomes very pleased. Who are these women? They are not ordinary women. They are all devotees of Krishna. They are all pure devotees of Krishna. In Vrindavan, everyone is pure devotee of Krishna. So these women are pure devotees of Krishna. Their life is only centered around Krishna. But because they are participating in Krishna Leela in this earth planet, they have also appeared in Vrindavan in different families, as if they belong to one cowherd community. Actually, they don't belong to any community. They don't belong to this material world at all. They all belong to the spiritual world. When Krishna descends, he descends with his associates from his personal abode. So he takes birth, they also take birth to perform, to participate in Krishna Leela. So they are celebrating Krishna's birth. Now such celebration is very unique to this material world. When Krishna comes here, he displays some of his pastimes which he performs eternally in the spiritual world, like rasa dance, stealing butter, cow herding. All such pastimes he performs eternally in the spiritual world to give pleasure to the devotees. And devotees participate in those pastimes to give pleasure to Krishna. Anandamayobhyasat. Their existence is only filled with ananda. That's the purpose of their existence. Enjoy life, full of bliss and knowledge, eternal life, with all opulences which belong actually to Krishna. The material world, when Krishna appears, he appears with his opulences, he appears with his devotees, and he displays two kinds of pastimes in the material world. One is a sample of the pastimes going on in the spiritual world. He also displays some pastimes exclusive to the material world. What are these pastimes? The birth pastime. Because spiritual world there is no birth. So there is no birth pastime either. Krishna eternally is there in the spiritual world. In the material world, he apparently takes birth as son of Yashoda and Nanda. So that birth pastime is actually only in the material world. Therefore, celebration of Krishna's birth as a Leela of Krishna is also only in the material world. So this Janmashtami festival we observe is only in the material world we can observe. So in that sense, we are doubly fortunate. We celebrate the pastimes of Krishna which he demonstrated, which are going on in spiritual world, also we celebrate here. But we also celebrate certain pastimes which are only in the material world, like this birth pastime. So, these gopis, they are actually pure devotees of Krishna. So, never mistake these descriptions as some descriptions of sex life. Especially Krishna's dancing with the young gopis in the middle of the night. That's the most misinterpreted, even this description, that women were walking with heavy breasts and full hips. So sometimes foolish people think that Bhagavatam is some sex literature, especially the 10th canto, the descriptions of the rasa dance. No, it is actually describing the natural beauty and the mood of the devotees. Simply for the sake of pleasing Krishna, they are doing everything, whatever they do. Because the contrast is also shown in the Bhagavatam, same 10th canto. This the rascals never read, the 10th canto, the later portions. When Krishna left Vrindavan to go to Mathura, because Kamsa was harassing Vasudeva, Devaki and all the other Yadus. So Krishna went to deal with the situation. So he went to Mathura and then he never came back. So all the Brajavasis were completely in grief, in separation from Krishna. So they were crying the rest of their lives in separation from Krishna. Krishna, where are you? When are you going to come back? They are missing Krishna. They are not interested in eating, in doing any work, nothing. They are completely immersed, drowning in an ocean of grief, as much as they were drowned in an ocean of joy when Krishna was born and all the pastimes Krishna used to perform in Vrindavan, when he was in Vrindavan, a small boy. When he left Vrindavan, they are immersed in an ocean of sorrow. So this is proof that they never decorated themselves, they never possessed any ornaments or jewels for their personal enjoyment. This is the purity of spiritual life in Vrindavan. So we have to hear this from the Acharyas. All the Acharyas describe perfectly this Krishna's Leela, all the Leelas of the Lord in his various incarnations. Whereas the materialists, the Mayavadis, the non-devotees, they give their nonsensical interpretation of these scriptures, and many times they are wrong. Sometimes they are right, but many times they are wrong in the descriptions. Particularly these confidential pastimes, they are always wrong. They don't understand what is the purpose of these descriptions by Shukadeva Goswami, or what is the purpose of the gopis decorating themselves with nice ornaments to participate in the festival of Krishna's birth. So the purpose is to please Krishna, exclusive purpose. This is called yajna, and this yajna is the real way to perform all activities by which we become completely disentangled, we become liberated from material existence. I'll stop here. Vrintarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have an announcement. We'll be celebrating Gaura Purnima on coming Friday, 14th of March. We'll have Nagar Sankirtan in the morning at 6:30 a.m. Morning 6:30 a.m. Nagar Sankirtan. And in the evening, the celebrations begin at 6 p.m. We will have Palaki Utsav, Abhishek for Gaur Nitai deities, Chaitanya and Nityananda deities. Then we'll have Sankirtan and Japa as part of the celebrations. Of course, there will be wonderful dinner, prasadam, feast for all the devotees. You are invited to participate in this festival and take the blessings of Lord Gauranga. Hare Krishna.